This video is made for adult collectors because bro is a mute. He's a mute. Not so fast.
Wait, that's not right.
Yolopark's next offering is Rhinox, and I wasn't super hyped for it, but when I got it, it was a weapons pack for Prime with a bonus Rhinox toy. But after messing with it, I've ended up liking it a lot more, though I do have my issues. This is a quote-unquote model kit, but you build it like a Bionicle, plugging limbs and armor in on, and this one's build was quite a bit difficult just due to the joints being so tight. The head took me 5 minutes to get on, the thighs were really hard to put in, and the forearm armor needs to be glued because it just keeps falling off. But once it's all together, I broke it. This shoulder part here is on a hinge, and I was trying to see how far it went when it popped right off on the other shoulder. I glued it back on, and I'm blaming myself for that more so than the toy, but just be careful with those. It still works perfectly fine now. And it's pointy, Yolopark. Please round your corners a bit. Speaking of which, this was provided to me by Yolopark. They have a wide range of Transformers related figures, and they have this one for about $29.99, which is a lot of toy for 30 bucks. God damn. They have loads of other cool stuff on there, so definitely go check them out. And if you use code TOYGUY, you get 5% off your order, which is always nice. So again, check them out, links in the description below. Thank you very much for sponsoring this video. Now back to the actual toy. So I know I started off a bit negative, but I still like this. It's still so good and super satisfying to hold. The bulk and the textures feel really nice in the hand, and the looks. The texture really adds to the age of this, making it feel like an older dude, battle-hardened and ready to not say a single word. David Sobolov did confirm that Rhinox, all of his lines were cut from the final film. I really like how flat his feet are. They are massive and flat and wide, which means he's incredibly stable in most poses, so that's great. The coolest looking part of the toy, though, is actually on the back and how detailed it is. The piston detailing is great and all, but like, what makes it epic is it's actually functional pistons. Like, they work when you do the ab crunch. It's so cool. I also really like the bronze gold color on this. It's a lot less bland feeling than the Studio Series one, which I like. And damn, looking at them together, this Yolopark one is massive. He comes with his hammer, which is cool, but the better accessory is the pack that you get of weapons for Prime. Now Optimus looks complete with his swords, cannon, and axe. Jesus. Oh, and the cannons are left and right, not just the same side packed in. But I just can't get over the sheer size of this thing. For 30 bucks, it's huge. So the posing on this is kind of difficult, and before I start into that, I want to point out something real quick in regards to the structure of the video, because normally when I do these like Yoloparky dudes, I'll have a piece of footage where it is me building it, whether it be a little thing at the beginning or me actually explaining the build or showing a stop motion or whatever. But I didn't do that for this. I just did one of the arms. And the reason is because this thing, putting it together, was so tight in a lot of places that I can't actually take it apart anymore, except for the arms. The legs don't want to come off. The torso does not want to come apart. The head will actually pop itself off sometimes, and then it's really difficult to put back on because everything is so tight. And again, I don't know. I'm assuming this is final because I'm seeing a lot of other people get theirs as well. English is hard for me to do for some reason. And this was like sent at the same time as its release. So I think this is pretty much just the final copy of what people are going to get. But mine for some reason is so friggin' tight, not to mention these come off so easily. Where did that go? Where did it go? Ah! They come off super easily, but they're attached with 4 different connection points. So I might just glue those at some point because I'm not intending on taking this apart ever again. But yeah, and then as I said before, this entire assembly snapped right off. But I glued it back on and it's fine. Like it's there. I can thwack it and it's not gonna come off. It just was that again. That was more me pushing it past its point. It is what it is. Anyways, the head is extremely stiff on mine, but it's also kind of like this dude in the sense where it's kind of hard to grip it to pose just due to his head shape. And that's the same here. It's really difficult. And it only goes about that far each way. You can pull it out of its thing, but if I tilt this up, it's going to come out. But he does have an extra joint back here for that. You have shoulder rotation, which is really nice and smooth. The shoulder pads are on double hinges, so they can really get out of the way to accommodate the arm going out for a full T pose. You have bicep rotation. You have an elbow bend that shifts some armor, though you have to push it back down manually. And once you actually see how the elbow's built, his elbow's really skinny. It's kind of funny. Get that back into place. You have the wrists are on a ball joint, and then you have a 3-finger trigger finger split with 2 joints at each knuckle, and then a ball joint at the base of the thumb, and then 2 joints at the thumb itself. So you have really, really posable hands. And I thought Scourge was the only one that was going to come with posable hands, because Cheetor didn't. But it would be nice that the AMKs from now on actually have hands like this, because yeah, the optional hand thing is nice. This is still really cool. You do have side-to-side motion at the torso, as well as an ab crunch with those working pistons I mentioned earlier. Though it only goes forward about that far, and it doesn't really accomplish much because of how bulky he is. It doesn't look the nicest. You do have a lower waist joint as well, which only goes about that far just due to the way the hips are done. However, if you drop the hips down, you get more. So that's nice. And the butt flap can wiggle. These parts can also move to... Whoa, that made a terrible sound. Let's not move those, actually. The front hip skirts do also move. They're on hinges and a ball joint, so they can sort of swing out of the way. However, sometimes they will just like come off because the ball joint, like the socket, is kind of shallow. So it can be a tad annoying, and I'll just be careful with them. That's pretty much all I'll say. Ooh, those are tight. Okay, the hips. They can go out about that far, and due to the way the drop-down hips work, these little cylindrical things actually get sucked into his side, which is really cool. It's very simple how they accomplish that, but it's really nice. He does have a thigh rotation. It's very tight, and it only goes out about that far, unless you drop the hips down, in which case it goes out a little bit more. It's the sculpt that bumps into things. And then you have hip skirts can move forward about that far, but they can also move out of the way to accommodate the leg, which goes forward only that far, and it can go back that much. Which side is it that's loose? Oh, it's this side. So this side's drop-down hip is actually kind of loose on mine, but it is screwed, so I can easily fix that. That's not bad. I'm not that bothered by it. Now the knee. The knee is really cool in how this entire thing works. All of this armor here shifts. It's so cool. So when you bend the knee, watch the armor. So this, and this move, and this moves as well because it's on a piston here. That's so cool. Except when you bend it back, you have to reset this panel yourself. But, that's pretty cool. I really like how that. It's much easier to see in person than it is on like video. But yeah, it is cool. Ooh. See, I don't like any of the noise. Oh, that became loose now. Pain. Is that a crack or a mold mark? No, it's a mold mark. Oh, I saw this little black line here and I thought that was a crack, but it's a mold mark. We're fine. And then the ankles can go down. They can go up. They can pivot. They can swivel kind of. And he has a toe bend. And because his feet are immensely flat, he stands so well. He stands extremely well. But yeah, it's just my copy's got really tight joints, making me not want to pose this at all. Like, it's not like Prime where I can just go, legs and arms and action figure, right? That's an interesting pose. This guy is more so just me sitting here going, and like, making squeaking noises as I'm trying to pose it because it's just. But that's about it. It's. I was trying to get it into a pose for the last shot of the video, and his head came off. This panel came off. That's fine. I'll put that back on. But his head. Hang on, I got this off camera. Hey, come on. Oh, there we go. His head's back on. Oh, the ball joint's really shallow and very tight, but I was literally going to lift this up to like tilt the head up a bit, and it came right off. It was annoying. Anyway.
So yeah, even though this is not my favorite of the toys they've made, it's still nice. I like it more than Primal, who has kind of grown to be my least favorite. Rhinox just needs to be broken in. Not broken, don't do that. But the joints are just gonna need messing with because they're pretty tight. Probably the tightest production Yolopark toy I have. I could take it apart and sand it down, but that involves taking it apart, which is scary. But tightness aside, I still really think this is cool. And that's been my look at Yolopark Rise of the Beast Rhinox. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.